So yeah, it's really more of a team effort, but if I was going to blame one person, it would be Andrew Berry. Because number one...
That's a name I haven't heard brought up really in this discussion. I really primarily just hear Kevin Stefanski and Sean Watson of the offensive line.
Yeah, and a lot of people give him a pass on a lot of things, but I think he does deserve quite a bit of blame in some spots. Number one, with Deshaun, some people do think the owner was involved. I do believe he's heavily involved, but...
He had to have been involved because you don't get the authorization to sign off on a contract like that fully guaranteed without the owner pushing for it.
The question is, did he push it really hard, and that's why?
Right. We don't know if Jimmy Haslam came to Andrew Berry or if Andrew Berry went to Jimmy Haslam.
But at this moment, all we have is what we have. And ultimately, he did make that move and paid him. But also, he decided to re-sign Conklin when we knew that Conklin was getting injured all the time, and re-signed him to a huge contract, which took away his roster spots, took away money that could have been used on depth pieces.
It was a surprising move. I remember it was
very strange.
Puzzling, because I was thinking that the Browns were excited and to get out of his contract finally, not because he's bad or anything. Obviously, he never played.
And then on the other hand, he drafted Jedrick Wills, which you missed. That's not great, but he also kept sticking with him and isn't really invested in at least a solid backup option behind him. So it's like at a certain point, your lack of foresight is your problem. You get some opportunity to miss, but the fact that you haven't adjusted for those misses is a big problem.
Yeah, making mistakes isn't as big of an issue as it is not admitting your mistakes, right? Not admitting and adjusting to your mistakes.
Right, because he's done other good things. He drafted DeJuan Jones. If you would have let Conklin go, now you draft DeJuan Jones. Look at you, you're the hero. It is what it is, but ultimately, due to all that, he does deserve blame for the way this line has turned out. He deserves quite a bit of it because he didn't adjust to his mistakes.
Well, it does feel like throughout his time here that he's always been a little sticky with the guys that he drafts.
1 year is one thing, but after a few years, at some point, that's the thing in the NFL. I don't always think it's the most talented coaches and GMs who have the success. It's the guys who can recognize mistakes and learn from them quickly that are often the people that have the most success. You'll see it in guys like, very famously, John Harbaugh of the Ravens for so many years. Just he understands talent. He recognizes talent in his coordinators and his coaches, knows when he's wrong, makes the adjustments. It's about recognizing when this guy isn't working out and moving on to the next.
Because the draft, just by dumb luck, will gift you guys, right? I mean, you don't have to be a genius to ever end up with guys who are good, and doesn't mean that you're bad if you end up with busts, right? Every single GM drafts a bust and draft multiple busts over the course of their career. It's just difficult to draft. There's so many factors that can lead a college player to not translate to the NFL. It's okay to make the mistakes as long as they're paired obviously with successes, but it's okay to make mistakes. But like you're saying, when you don't adjust to them and recognize them, now you're really in trouble. And Jedrick Wills, it feels like, it's too late. Like, we're sitting in the offseason, there's this whole discussion about whether to re-sign him, whether to give him that option. And, people were trying to say, oh, you have to re-sign him because, there's not that many left tackles out there. One of the reasons why they're probably investing is because you feel like you still haven't gotten the most out of him yet, right? Because he has a tendency to kind of give up on plays sometimes, maybe doesn't follow all the way through. And then somebody said, what if Bill Callahan did get the best out of Jedrick Wills? What if that was the best? That's not a great thing to think about. But it's just interesting, all of this discussion with these offensive linemen and the decisions that he made. Because, like you said, re-signing Chad Conklin, not a great move. Re-signing Jedrick Wills, probably not the right move. But drafting DeJuan Jones, that worked out nicely. Pocic has been a nice pickup. There were good decisions on there. Just if you'd moved on from the bad ones, we actually might still be in a decent spot.